Hello and welcome back to Soma Sutra. My name's Suzanne and I'm your trauma release therapist, healer and intimacy coach. So today I want to talk about connection and loss of connection within a couple because this morning I had quite a long conversation with somebody who reached out to me and it's this, I kind of repeat myself a lot with people, so I thought if I can make a video then I can explain it and have it all in one place. So basically we're talking about when a couple have lost that connection, they've lost quite a lot of their sex drive for each other, or it might be that one is more interested than the other. Quite often the male is more interested than the female, and the reason for that is that the females are normally quite so busy that they're very good at martyring themselves and just they kind of serve everybody. So they're busy, they're working, they're doing the housework, they're looking after the kids, they're trying to look after the husband and everything, and they kind of get really robotic and they cut off, and then on top of that, and they're exhausted, they're then feeling this pressure to be this like sexual goddess from their husband, and it doesn't all quite match, and they start to become quite numb in their bodies. So what we quite often see with women is their breasts aren't sensitive anymore, their vagina's not sensitive anymore, because that you start to disconnect with your body. You're so in your head that you've really disconnected from your body and from your very sensual and sexual self. So this loss of connection, it's quite normal and it happens to quite a lot of people, and you do have to work at it. And I quite often get asked about the sex side of it and what can we do? Do we use lingam massage, yoni massage? Because they're looking at what they think is the cause and not the symptoms. So we need to rewind and go right back to getting out of our heads and into our bodies. So the very first connection we need to have is with ourselves, because we lose that connection, and we need to just start to become aware of our own bodies and take those necessary steps to reconnect with ourselves. And it's a very important thing because we become very, very robotic, and that's really bad for libido. Stress, they say stress is a killer as well, and it kills your libido and kills quite a lot of other things as well. So the first thing in my workshops, what I would teach is the female anatomy. Now, this is something that most people think they know and they don't. So we have 4 G-spots as a woman. In actual fact, a 5th emerges after we orgasm, and most people think there's 1 or possibly 2. Okay, so it's quite a revelation to most women to know that we have 4 G-spots, and we secrete from 3 different places as well. So again, to most women, that's quite mind-blowing. So this is something that we need to teach the women, and we also need to teach the men. But first of all, we need to teach the woman. And the reason we need to teach the woman is because if she doesn't know how to convey what she wants and what she needs from her partner, how the hell is he supposed to know? So we need to learn to be able to express that. First of all, to know what it is we want through some self-exploration, and also to be able to convey that. So they're not masterminds. They don't psychically know. Every woman is different. What gets that woman off. So we need to be able to convey that to our partners, so they don't automatically know. They're not born knowing. Okay, they don't become teenagers and suddenly they know. They don't. Some men are naturals and some really are not. So there needs to, communication is huge. It really, really is, and it needs to be a huge part of intimacy for the men and the women, and not to feel any shame around that, because that's another thing, is that particularly if you come from my generation, I'm 50 now, and your parents didn't talk to you about sex or intimacy or needs or anything like that, and why would a woman want needs? My mum would rather have a cup of tea. So that's kind of how I was brought up. So the length of time that a woman needs to climax opposed to how long a man needs is vastly different. So a guy, we're talking like 7 to 10 minutes, and a woman, we're talking up to an hour. So there's a real, this is the guy's length of time, this is the woman's length of time. There's a massive difference. So we need to be able to teach the guy to edge for a start. And also, other intimacy, we need to warm that woman up. So women shut down very, very quickly. So if a guy goes in too quickly, a woman shuts off immediately because a woman's already quite stressed. There's a lot going on in her head. She's got a lot of tension in her shoulders and she needs relaxing. The woman needs relaxing, and also she needs turning on. You can't just go in there, get it in there and get on with it, because it's not about gratification for the man to race and come as quickly as possible. That's only ever going to serve the man. That's never going to serve the woman at all. And no wonder. Why would she want sex? What's in it for her? Nothing. So it becomes a very mechanical process just for the guy basically to get off, and that's not serving for anybody. So we have to start to embrace our softer sides. And this is, some females are quite alpha and they need to embrace their softer side, and the men need to embrace their softer side and engage in sensuality, because without sensuality, the woman is never going to be open and relaxed enough to even let go. So we have to warm the woman up. The guy needs to learn to edge, because we need to try and synchronize that length of time and build that sexual energy. So the woman might possibly orgasm 7 or 8 times before the guy has finished. Imagine that, ladies. But if your guy learns how to do that, he's going to feel like a god, because you are going to be just in this massive state of bliss and ecstasy, and he's going to be, yeah, I did that. So that's something we need to really, really address. And then there's a massive or imbalance in a lot of relationships. Not with everybody. Like I said, some guys are just absolute naturals and they're real givers, and that's great. And you lucky girls, that's all I can say. So for a woman to really, really let go, she needs to feel safe and loved. Feeling safe for a woman is very, very important. If she feels she's almost being violated, and there's this like hammer drill thing going on, I promise you she's going to shut off. You're literally just a vessel. You become just this vessel for a guy, for his gratification, and it's never about you. And the woman's left wondering, well, wow, what about me? Where do I figure in all this? And it's very important, and that leads to the woman feeling really unloved and quite disconnected with herself and with you. So it's something that really, really needs to be addressed, and so we can't race to that end point. We have some work to do before we get there. So let's talk about the gratification aspect of it with men, because quite often the guy, his sole aim is to arrive, to have sex and to ejaculate. Okay, so what does that serve? It just really kind of empties your balls, and it's a very, very short gratification for you only, pretty much, and doesn't really involve much for your partner. So we have to change that way of thinking, and it's about worshipping each other as a god and a goddess, and building that incredible sexual energy, and really, really connecting. And there's ways we can do that. There are techniques that we can use to do that and to really, really build that sexual energy. So, and exercises for guys as well, so that they can prolong their time before they ejaculate. So let's talk about semen. What is it? It's life force energy, right? It produces life. And it creates, you think one ejaculation could populate the whole of Europe. So imagine how much energy that takes for one ejaculation, which is why we're tired, not me personally, but why guys are tired afterwards, because it takes so much life force energy to produce this ejaculation and all this sperm. So by edging, we have something called ejaculation. We're taking that energy inwards and it's coming up through the body. So we're actually capturing that energy and using it as a fuel, and creating this circuit of energy with our partner, and we're both experiencing all this build up of sexual energy and this intensity, and it's incredibly intense. And I promise you that when you do finally arrive at the end, it's going to be so much more gratifying, and also for you to see that your woman has had such an amazing experience and feel so connected to you, is going to be an amazing thing. And I think that for couples, I think it could save a lot of marriages, if I'm honest, and make a lot of people a lot happier in their life. So for me, it is something that's very close to my heart. And I have my own reasons for wanting to help other couples, because I don't want anybody to feel alone in their marriage, because I know how that feels. Hence why I'm single. So we're talking some tantric techniques here, and this is neo-tantra. We're not talking, the ancient, very sacred type of tantra, because that, all the gurus get very upset about that. And we're just talking using some of those techniques, and it's about connection, and it's about connection to yourself, connection to each other, and actually connection to all things. Intimacy and connection, it's everything with a couple, right? You've got to connect, you've got to communicate, you need to have something together that really, really bonds you. And we can't just go straight to the sex act. There's a lot before that we have to address to get back to that place that we were in the beginning, or better than the beginning. I would want better than the beginning, to be fair. Before we had all of those other responsibilities. So that's just a real, snippet of some of the things that I talk about, and some of the things that I teach, and just to become, just to give you a little bit of awareness. So namaste, have an amazing day, love to you all, and stay positive.